It is
Okay.
a good conversation. We can
let's
continue
continue
on.
with that one, till it comes to the natural
Yeah.
end.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I just didn't want to leave your polarity and life thing out.
No, that's okay. I can do a whole hour on the because Stephen brought up at one point the idea that control somebody's options and you control their logic, and I have been contemplating that a whole lot. And then I heard a friend of mine on the Survival podcast talk about the lie of dichotomy and how you've got the left wing, right wing, you've got the Republicans and Democrats, you've got all of these things that are set up to get people to infight. Rather than recognize the connection, the cooperation there, it becomes a dichotomy. And then, let's say you don't like abortion and you're for pro-choice or whatever it is, then all of a sudden you get lumped into a category that includes all the rest, whereas you might just be against one thing and for something else, but, it immediately creates this battle line drawn, between people. And that is one of the fundamental things that have controlled the logic and controlled the options in our civilization, and it goes on and on. So I could go on and on about it, but I'm not gonna, because I really like the
colloidal silver, yes.
The colloidal silver. But if you want to hear about it, I do have a podcast up at iThunderbird.com that's all about freedom, and I think it's the latest podcast. It's like 15 minutes long. So there you go.
Okay, Hawk, let me just come in on the colloidal silver to come back to the topic. You see what
great.
I use? Yeah, what? Who?
I said
Hello?
great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What I use actually is a self-made colloidal silver generator, and it produces very fine colloidal silver with a very high resolution. It means the particles of the silver are very small, and I use as electrodes. I use actually silver maple, the Canadian silver maple, coin, which is very pure silver. And I've treated my parents with that one, not as a test, but as a confirmation. and my father, they went on a cruise, and my father was ill, the complete cruise. He came back, he was in bed, and he was just breathing hard and was coughing, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor came with a complete barrage of antibiotics, and he said he's not going to take it. And then I said, okay, what we will do is I will give you colloidal silver. You drink it and you inhale it. So I have a vaporizer, a high yield, a very good vaporizer, and I gave him this treatment. I mean, from the lung side, the inhalement, and from the body side, the drinking. And you won't believe it. For 20 years he had a dry cough. 20 years. I mean, it was how to say, intensified because of his sickness now. So he got better within 3 days for his sickness, and his dry cough, after 5 or 6 days it went, and it never came back. And this guy is 80 years old, so it works quite well. Yeah. So colloidal silver is. No, I will make a thread. I will make a thread. So look, see, we're having some spins here. It's good. So Hawk will make a picture thread from what is growing, and I will make colloidal silver generator thread, and so on. Oh, some things are coming up.
I got radishes coming up.
Oh, another great thing to do along the lines of health, Flashy, is to make alkaline water. You can get in the United States, you can go to Radio Shack and get a couple devices that you can plug into your wall outlet, and stick the wire into 2 5-gallon or, whatever 5-liter, whatever you guys, I'm sorry, I don't know the conversion for the metrics, but we'd have a 5-gallon tank on one side, another 5-gallon tank. You cut a hole in them and put a tube in between them with a sponge in the middle so that the water so the current can go through, but it's 2 different containers. And you put a positive wire in one and a negative wire in the other, and what will end up happening is that it'll polarize the water, make one negatively polarized, one positively charged, and the negatively charged, I believe, is the alkaline, and it's really good for your body. It actually oxidizes your body and creates more oxygen pathways in your body, whereas the other one actually is really good for your garden. So you can take those 2 water containers. I've actually been meaning to do this project a lot recently. And so you can take the water that's positively charged and feed your garden with it, and it'll help your plants grow tremendously. And if you take the other one, it's like drinking alkaline water. And I've actually known people who have had severe forms of cancer. I mean, severe throat cancer, and they drank They did nothing but juicing and micronutrient-rich food, plus alkalinizing their own water, and they cured themselves of throat cancer with this alkaline water. So,
wow.
Yeah, because it shifts the pH value of the blood, and then the internal immune system
exactly,
is more able to recognize the cancer. This is how it works.
Right, exactly. He built his own body's immune system strong enough through micronutrient-rich food and alkaline water to make his pH, I think, become more alkaline is basically it. And disease can't grow in a heavy oxygenated and alkaline environment. So
That's
do you have
interesting.
do you have a picture of this one? And do you know the voltage they are applying there?
Yeah, I'd like to get some info on that too.
Sure,
Yeah,
I'll do the project and videotape it and document it and post it.
Somewhere on there,
Right.
I have a thread on cancer cures that should go in there too for the alkaline water. Yeah, I would love that. That definitely has to go in that category.
And it
Very
somehow
cool.
it reminds me about one thing which I came across in the seed field project, is that there was a German in the 1930s who had an invention where he, I mean, if I have 2 or 3 minutes, I can tell the story of the guy. I wanted to put up in the thread, but I had no time. He was actually he was a railroad engineer, and in the German Bundesbahn, or Reichsbahn that time, and he was tasked his task was to get rid of the weeds which are growing on the railway tracks. So he did that one, but he found out that there are areas in the railroad tracks where the weeds are growing even on the stones, and there are areas on the tracks where nothing will grow at all. So he asked himself, how is it possible that these weeds, normal, ordinary weed plants, can grow on bare stones, more or less, where the roots are gripping around the stone and are extracting the minerals from there without having support from the soil around it. And he found out that it is that hello. He found out that there is if there is an electric field between the 2 tracks, then these weeds can grow, and it's very minute. It's just one volts or 2 volts, and from there he made an invention. He how to somehow laid an electric grid in his garden, and he was having a garden which there is normally non-fertile sand soil there. So, and he had been able to produce abundant crops there, actually, and but big pharma and so on, they went on him. At that time it was Nazi Germany, and somehow he couldn't go along with these German Nazis, and he was,
So wait, Bash, are you saying there was a dude in 1940s in Germany who put a current through the ground in his garden and increased his soil yield and did so successfully?
Yes, and it was so astonishing. It was sand soil. I mean, in the end, it was like this. The neighbors, they become so jealous that in his absence, they went into his garden and they devastated the garden because they say it's witchcraft.
Do you have a link or anything like that for that kind of research? Because I know you guys are talking about putting electric current or electric static energy into the seeds and sprouts, but you can there are such things as earth batteries, right? That where in a little plot of land, I actually met a guy who was telling me about this. He could power a light bulb by sticking electrodes into the ground where a raised bed where he was growing potatoes, and basically he really mineralized the soil, and it actually produces like an electrostatic charge. So I'm curious, like, how would you run a current through your garden, A, and B, like what kind of power output are we talking? I mean, that's like incredible. I would
Yeah,
love to know about how to,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah,
You
there have
analyze.
see,
been
this is
several experiments on that. I've
yeah,
seen them
there,
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
plants.
Just having a Tesla coil in a field will increase the productivity by 50%. I, will, I believe it was 50%. And there's quite a few studies that in a paper that is posted at the beginning of the alternative seed experiment thread. But just a Tesla coil in the field will do it.
Huh.
actually,
Very interesting.
this German guy, he was offering it to the German government for free, and they ridiculed him. So he became a little bit, how to say, narrow-minded, and there were foreign delegations coming to his farm. You know, I know about the Japanese and the Russians. They came to his farm and they offered him kind of a deal where they buy off his secrets how he's doing it, because it was pre-war, how to say, technology, and these guys they figured out that they can use it and strengthen the war capability of their nations in that one. So, but somehow these deals never went through, and he managed to keep his secret till he died. Okay, so this is one thing, but stubborn as I am, I think I figured out how it is, and I will post it on this maybe on the alternative seat. I will have to look, or maybe on the electric field project.
Yeah. Or just start another thread on it.
Yeah,
You could do that.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, I know this is unrelated, but that reminds me, if you wire a Tesla coil backwards, it becomes a generator.
Really?
hmm It pulls voltages out of the air, basically.
Hmm.
Some people think that's where he hit it at. And to do the displays with the lightning and all that, he just reversed it.
I would love to read about that, because that's when they really got interested in all his work.
Yeah. Well,
The government.
they were looking for the little black box. I think that was just a thing he made to, like, trick people. Some people say.
No, he made it.
That,
He
like,
was running a Ford. He was in 1935 or something, 1933. He was running a Ford on this black box, and he was that one was quite fast, even. I think maximum speed 110 miles per hour or something like this. And he had that small black box, and he just inserted some kind of rods inside, and then he said, "We have electricity now," and it never, how to say, exhausted itself. But these things are gone. I think they are now boxed up somewhere in Fort Meade or something.
yeah, but I wanted to look into that when I have got a chance. Reversing one. I think
We
it's
need
like
to.
you only need one that's 4 foot to power your house.
Yeah, we need a free energy project getting started.
No, we don't need. I just discussed last time that we don't need free energy.
It'd be cool though to have, but then again, all
You
the
know,
problems that come with it, and the oil companies that'll try and kill you over it.
I ran across an article that NASA put out once on sowing seeds in a magnetic field. I'm going to have to find it again.
Ooh, hey, that reminds me. They took dead seeds up to space and something about zero gravity and brought them back, and they worked.
Yeah, it was in your. Isn't that in your thread, Bashy?
What I was
Bashy?
zero gravity? What?
About taking seeds up to, into space and
No, it's not on
propagating
my
them.
thread. No, it's not in my thread.
I wasn't on your thread. Oh, no, it was something about the radiation effects on seeds.
Yeah.
The effects of radiation on seeds.
You see,
You
it
did
was
have something in there.
it was a proposed thing. Actually, the Russians they did it. And it's I think it's a sprouting and not sprouting. It's a growing economical, how to say, project going on, because they found out that the seeds are growing much better and apart from radiation, you see you have two effects. You have the non-gravity effect and you have the the enhanced radiation, because there's no protection against the cosmic radiation. So you have mutations because of radiation, which is doubtful whether it's good or not. And
Yeah.
you have the effect of non-gravity sprouting or growing, which I think the most beneficial part is on that aspect, on the non-gravitational effect. So they get a lot of mutations there out there in space, and but only a few percent of them are beneficial. So actually, I'm not in favor of these type of
Experiments.
experiments. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because
they're a
I
little
think there's
dodgy.
a potential that you just produce havoc there.
Well, that wood camp stove that produces electricity that Rhiannon posted about this week, that is very interesting.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yep. Then we're getting into
Okay,
fields of energy.
yeah. So let me just recapitulate. So Hawk, you will put some pictures of the growing and maybe also of the alkaline water generator, no? And
Yeah, that I'm got a list of films and things that I'm doing in the next couple days. That'll be on my next round because it's going to be a project that takes some doing.
yeah, and I will go for these findings from this German guy 100 years ago or 80 years ago, and I will go also
Yeah,
for the colloidal silver generator. I will put something on that one, and maybe wood
And the
mushrooming, and
colloidal,
yeah, and
the
yeah,
colloidal silver too.
yeah, and
How do
maybe
you what?
growing mushrooms
Good.
on wood. Yeah,
I was gonna ask what method do you use? Is it just electrolysis and water for the colloidal silver?
it's not electrolysis. It's you're using actually distilled water, very pure water. So you're not putting salt
Yeah, there's
inside or
nothing
something
in
like.
it.
There's nothing in it. There's absolutely nothing in it, and there is not supposed to be anything inside. So the ppm, the parts per million, it should be 0 or 1, not more. Because the silver solution which this generator produces is not more than 5 ppm, parts per million. It's very low concentration, but it's very high efficiently because it's more or less, it's nearly monoatomic.
Oh, I see.
To hint something.
Did you make that, or is it just a little device you bought?
No, I built the device. I made it. I made two actually. They're
Oh,
standing right now. I can look at them. Right now one is
would you
running.
be
Yeah.
would you be interested in putting blueprints up for one?
Yeah, no problem. I will make it on a thread. It's nothing special. But you have to. It's not an ordinary one like you're putting a battery and just two silver
Yeah.
wires to the water. It's not like that. Because you have to. I don't want to go into the detail right now, but I will do it on the thread. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to do a little more research on permaculture and this guy Sepp Halser and how he puts together this fantastic landscape.
so check out Permies.com or richsoil.com. It's a guy by the name of Paul Wheaton, and he's a permaculture expert up in the northwest of the United States, and he studies with SEP, and he's got his own whole website going on with a bunch of cool stuff about soil fertility and how to build your soils and how to do it in the permaculture way. So he's another good resource.
Okay, very good.
And there's one thing about the mushrooming on wood is, you don't need sunlight for that one. This
Uh-uh.
if the sunlight is blocked, let's say for example you have a volcanic eruption, and everything dies or whatsoever is going to happen, and you are looking for protein, how to get it, you use these mushrooming.
Yeah,
It's
this friend of mine that does the mushrooms does it in a dark closet.
yeah, in the cellar or somewhere else. You know?
Yeah, it's dark, and they're growing just great.
That's it.
It's been my experience with that you only need darkness to propagate mycelium. Once you want fruit bodies, you need light because they'll grow toward the light like a plant.
I'm not sure if she has light in there or not. I only went and saw it once, so I don't really know all about how she did it. I just know it was
Well,
in a dark closet.
you guys know how that works, right? The real organism is called mycelium. The mushroom's just a reproductive organ.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
just a flower. More or less.
Again, another thing I have to learn.
So I think we've covered a lot of really great topics. We've got action plans on a couple of them, and I found this to be a very refreshing conversation. Actually, I learned a lot, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
me
too.
too.
Me too.
Same here.
Cool. So
We all agree.
yeah. So I'm gonna head out now and sign off, and I'm gonna get to work here. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Okay.
Okay, see you then.
Okay, bye, Hawk.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Hawk.
There's a couple of, if you go into the live chat, there looks like there's some comments. Nice story, Bashy, worth pursuing.
that is not commented.
Yes, Bashy would like to hear more about your project.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I will. I said it will come. You know, I will make a thread in the forum.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Actually, you see this guy. What I read that time when I was doing my research on the seed project, that guy seemed to be a little bit, stubborn. You know, so he went in loggerheads with everybody whom you can know, with his community, with the government, with the German government, with the delegations, foreign delegations. They all got somehow, you know, not along with each other. You know, in neither case. So he was actually producing staggering amounts of harvest in his small garden, and he made. I must look it up, and he made a brochure, and he was in the end he was writing a book. It's called, I think, The Dictator. You know, yeah, okay, yes, the Dictator, and yeah, and this in Nazi German. You write this book, The Dictator. You know, so of course. They banned this book and they came heavily on him, and that made him only more angry, and so on and so on. So this is actually the story. So he got hooked up with a lot of conflicts in the end. But these type of people, you know, they will see a how to say, a difficulty or a hampering of their efforts. It will motivate them even to go ahead in this way, you know. So I can sympathize with this type of person, you know, because I'm of the same nature. So what I actually will try to find out what he really took into his grave, you know, this secret which he had there, because I think I can figure it out, you know.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out great. Actually, it's looking good what you guys have been doing so far.
And the point was that sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead.
And the point was that he was having, you know, it was bare sand garden. I know this area, you know, it's really like more or less like desert sand. You know, you can grow only a very few plants are growing there. Vegetation is very sparse, and that he was able to harvest hundreds of kilos of tomatoes or potatoes or whatever it was. I saw some pictures. It was just amazing for the people, because he was even claiming that he was not watering them in the way they are normally watered, you know. So he was dry land with a little bit of water. He was producing this harvest, and everybody said this is not normal, and this can't be. There's some hoax going on, or this is witchcraft, you know. When they found out it was not hoax, they said it's witchcraft. They came against, you know, like a pogrom, like. Yeah. So you see sometimes how people can be, Anyhow, that's it.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, I want to make a decision on the duration of treatment for these seeds I'm going to send to STAR. And there was a pronounced effect with the 120 volt and 220 volt at just 2 hours. So 7 days, it seems so long. Was
Yep.
that what they were using to zap the hybrid back to its original genetics?
Oh, I can't tell you right now. Let me see whether I have the book in front of me. It will take some time, but rapeseed, for example, they put it 7 days. Then they had some tree plants as tree seeds, 21 days. So you are almost 6 days, 4 days, 8 days, 6 days, 4 days, 7 days, 7 days. These are all the different types of experiments. Now 7 days. So between 4 and 6 days, 4 and 7 days, I think that they were doing. But it can be that you have the same effect only after one day. There is no guarantee. Maybe we can make, what you can do is, for example, what I suggest is make two batches. Make one batch 6 hours and make another batch one day and maybe
Yeah,
a third batch 3 days or something like this. So from there, once you send them, it's the same work, more or less.
yeah, that makes sense.
Did they do any type of leafy green?
They did actually, but they were not much going. Yes, they made DNA analysis and protein analysis, and they found out that I don't know where is it, I can't find it, but they found out there's, I think, 30 to 50% more protein inside the leafy green if it is treated by high tension than in the control group, and it's
Wow,
sprouting
Okay.
and growing much faster. And there was
that's pretty
one variety.
significant.
Yeah, and there's one variety they needed only 5% of the water to make the plant grow, as in the control group. I mean, this is significant.
Yeah, that is significant. Huh. Hmm.
And there was one. It's called bush. I think I posted it also. It's called bush beans or something like this, where they found that they treated the seeds and they treated the sprouting, and then the bean was growing within 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks it was ready for harvest. I mean, it's like growing overnight. So that even the insects, which are normally the pests, which are growing, they couldn't mature in time to eat the beans or to affect the beans negatively because the bean was already harvested. So you have multiple benefits, which if you multiply them, you have less fertilizer, less water, you have more yield, you have less growing time, and you have, if you multiply everything, you are reaching 500, 400, maybe 10,000% or whatever, benefit on that one. And if you, yeah, that's it.
I was just going to say, I think that sounds like a benefit for indoor growing as well.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just had to mention that if it's growing faster, indoor growing, which is basically, I think, would be considered like, well, not always, but those window farms are, I think, hydroponic. But you can also do it, in planters, in soil. But I think that would be a benefit to growing indoors.
I found a good deal on one of those Aero Gardens, a little self-contained hydroponic setup on eBay. So I purchased that. I'll be able to do a few plants in it as soon as it arrives.
Now, is that hydroponic growing?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's just got the grow lights and the pump and everything all together in this little unit.
Your best would be to have a pump which is going on solar, no? Then you are completely off grid. I mean, for
That would
emergency,
be nice.
in case of emergency, when it really the shit hits the fan, then you need to be independent. You don't need to have much water coming from outside from the tap, and you don't need the electricity from the plug, you know. So this is, if you can get it from the roof and the electricity from the solar, you know, then that would be nice.
After we get done with this, I ran into a couple things because I was, I'm sitting there thinking, well, what do I know? Because I am, again, a beginner in all of this, and I ran into a few things I'm going to add on to some of the threads here in regards to this subject matter. As far as survival gardens go, there's this one video I ran into where the guy talks about just what you just said. If you're out of, you're obviously out of electricity, you're obviously out of everything, and things have gone haywire. The first thing he suggests is not to plant a garden right away, because people are going to come in and see the garden and take your food. So the first thing he does is suggest to go out around in the fields
and steal there
and plant. No, yeah, well, yeah, I'm thinking, good Lord, people are going to be walking in the woods and they're going to say, "Oh, look at the nice tomato plant here." But he came up with some great ideas in the video, which I thought were pretty unique. As far as the paranoia of people finding your plant so well, but he had some great ideas in the planting aspect as well that I think just were something to take note of. So I think I may add that. But when you see it, just be forewarned. It's a big paranoia video about people getting in your garden and so on. Because I think eventually you got to think about it. People are going to have to band together, and community gardens are going to have to start coming up, and we got to start thinking in those lines, which goes back to that list I put on the oil thread. The one you helped me make.
Yeah, you see, the paranoia, you can go to any length, and in the end,
sure.
When you reach the ultimate, you will just, say, okay, I'm building my own coffin and down like this.
Yeah, I know. It gets a little weird.
Yeah,
in some aspects.
If you go in that direction, it's of no use, more or less.
I agree. I agree. But the point that's why I'm trying to say up front, try not to look at the paranoia aspects, but look at the other aspects of what he's talking about in the planting aspect. It was pretty important, kind of cool, and
yeah,
he
but
did use very little to
yeah,
grow these plants.
Yeah, for example, I'm living in a metropolitan, city, and
yeah,
you can't go out and grow your food, because if you're on that level of paranoia already, and you go into one,
exactly.
You will never reach there, and even if you reach there, and one day you will go there to harvest your plants, and even if they are still there, you won't be able to go back, with the tomato in your hand.
I know.
So you can drive them. You can drive every scheme more or less useless.
I think the most important aspect of this is maintaining the seeds, propagating the seeds, saving the seeds, and keeping them growing. I think that's the most important aspect, and doing it in the most effective way.
Yeah, and having a backup. I mean, let's say you are having an emergency situation where there's no water, no electricity, no facilities going on, so that you don't. If you have one bag of corn which you wanted to sprout, or you wanted to plant them, and suddenly you are hungry, you start eating your own seeds. That should be a situation which, of course, should be avoided.
Exactly. Well, that's part of this weird video that I was talking about. I mean, he suggests going and planting near where there's water, obviously water sources and that kind of thing, So if you can get away from the paranoia of the video and look into the actual aspects of the growing portion of it, it's pretty cool. And he has a lot of good ideas using basic tools and simple ideas, as simple as keeping it simple.
Can you put a link into this maybe Skype chat of our conversation?
Yeah, what I'll do is when we get done, I'm going to put a couple of videos up of things we've been talking about that I've been sharing. One on this guy, Sepp Holzer. I posted it once already, but I'm going to post it again. It was a documentary on his work in his garden, or his farm, which I thought was fantastic.